What impact do the Brumbies have on the Australian alpine environment? This inquiry is to investigate the impact the Brumbies are having in Australia's alpine area and to examine whether the Brumbies' impact is sustainable. The inquiry will focus on how the Brumbies impact the alpine area, how they impact the alpine flora, how they impact the alpine fauna, and finally why this impact is significant to the conservation of the alpine environment. The Australian alpine area is only 0.5% of Australia's landmass. It is situated along the Great Dividing Range in the southeastern corner of New South Wales, heading south down to the northeastern part of Victoria. It is a unique and diverse environment which contains ancient mountains, glacial lakes and unusual flora and fauna which are not found anywhere else. The Alps provide a source of clean water to southeastern Australia through the Murray, Murrumbidgee and Snowy rivers. It is the largest conservation area in Australia and is managed by the National and Alpine Parks. The small plants and waterways in this alpine area are easily damaged by the large hard-hoofed animals such as horses and cattle. This damage can change the vegetation growing in the alpine area and leads to the destruction of the natural habitat in which many rare small animals live. Some of these animals are only found in the alpine area and have been classified as endangered. These include the mountain pygmy possum, broad-toothed rat, corroboree frog, alpine tree frog, and the alpine water skink. The Brumbie is an Australian term for a wild horse, and it is not native to Australia. They originally were domestic horses that were introduced into the area with the settlement of the Europeans in the 1830s. The horses were often released into the wild during times of drought by stockmen. These horses have an iconic status in Australian bush history. They feature in Banjo Paterson's poem, The Man from Snowy River, and are on the Australian $10 note. But the Brumbies are feral animals, meaning it is exotic or non-native animal originally introduced for domestic purposes which has survived in the wild. The current aerial surveys have identified the numbers of Brumbies are increasing rapidly, and this is due to favourable grazing conditions. Observations made by researchers show that the damage from wild horses is extensive and is the worst ever over a 40-year period of observing. The Brumbies' behaviours, social habits and physical build all contribute to the impact on the alpine environment. The major impacts from the horses' activities are grazing, trampling, dust baths and eating native plants. This has resulted in changes in the vegetation, including the soils, stream banks, weed infestation and the sphagnum and wetland destruction. The disturbance to the waterways has increased and soil erosion and siltation has led to the loss of native fish and invertebrate. The water quality in the catchment areas has also declined. The horses' hooves damage sphagnum bog, ferns and mosses, which has many small frogs and reptiles living and laying eggs in it. The dense grasses and small shrubs that the horses graze on are the habitats for small mammals, and the destruction to these habitats will lead to the local extinction of the broad-toothed rat. The Brumbie has now been classified as an alpine threat. This area of Australia is so small and unique that it needs to be protected. The harsh environment, strong winds, snow and short time frame for growth makes it hard for the vegetation to regenerate from the wild horses' impacts. If the horses are left as they are, then extinction will occur for many different rare plant and animal species. The Brumbie numbers need to be reduced and taken away from the alpine area because they are the second biggest threat to the alpine environment behind climate change. This environment has survived for thousands of years, and we need to ensure that these plants and animals can continue to live for thousands more.